As you can tell, there's quite a big of difference there. Hi, welcome to Minerva. I'm Vera, and today's topic is things you should know about disabled and chronically ill people. Let's get into it. Number 1. Yes, we have tried. I guarantee you, we have tried everything there is to feel better. We and our doctors know our disability or our chronic illness best, and we know what might make us feel better, and we have tried that. Additionally, the line, "have you tried?" insinuates that you believe that we are only ill because we don't want to get better enough. And that is not true. And it's also, I think, not a message that you would like to send. Additionally, as with my wheelchair video, which I will link down below, unless it's asked for, it's not helping, it's interfering, and no one likes that. This also goes for the "have you tried losing weight?" comment. Losing weight will not cure us. This also goes for cutting things out of our diet. Unless our disease or disability is caused by food, like celiac disease or food allergies, cutting things out of our diet will not cure us. It might, however, make us more ill. It is expensive. Paying for medication can really add up. And so can paying for ergotherapy or physiotherapy or any type of therapy we need to manage our condition. For example, I have spent hundreds of euros over the years just for medication. I also need physiotherapy. And even in a country with socialized healthcare, I still need to pay 10 euros per 12 sessions with a physiotherapist. This is not a lot of money in and of itself, but it does add up. And this is all money that we need to spend because we are disabled. We also need to pay for transportation there and back. It's also expensive because many of us might not be able to work full time, so we earn less money in the first place. Another reason why it is more expensive is because we might not be able to take public transport. For example, the bus stop is too far away from our house or too far away from our destination, or we can't guarantee that we can sit on the bus and it's too long for us to stand. There are other reasons, but I think you get the gist. And again, this is all money that we wouldn't need to spend had we not been disabled. It's difficult because of stigma, not life. Yeah, don't get me wrong, being in pain all the time sucks. But do you know why it sucks even more? Because we live in a society that isn't built for it. For example, I live in a country with barely any part-time jobs, which means that a lot of chronically ill or disabled persons might not be able to work. Or we might have to go to the doctors to pick up our prescription and then go to the pharmacy to give them our prescription. And then we might have to come back another day because they didn't have our medication in storage. These things are all energy drains. Just like using a wheelchair, our lives are not inherently bad, but they are made more difficult because of ableism. I talked earlier about how some things can be energy drains, and I think this might be a little easier to understand for non-disabled, non-chronically ill people when I'm using the spoon theory. Let's say that non-disabled, non-chronically ill people wake up every morning with 30 spoons. Level 30 energy, let's say. This means that you have 30 spoons to spend every day. However, a chronically ill or disabled person might only wake up with 12 spoons. This is already a lot less. But like I said before, each activity also takes spoons. Let's say showering, brushing your teeth, and getting dressed. For a non-disabled, non-chronically ill person, each one of these activities only takes 1 spoon, which means that you still have 27 spoons that you can spend in the rest of your day. For a disabled or chronically ill person, this might be a bit different. For example, showering takes 3 spoons, brushing your teeth takes 1, and getting dressed also takes 3 spoons. That means that this person only has 7 spoons left in the rest of their day. This means that we have to conserve our energy a lot more than non-disabled, non-chronically ill people. And it also means that we have to plan our days a lot more. For example, if you know that getting ready for work takes 7 spoons, that might mean that you have to wake up a little bit earlier so you can rest in between showering and leaving to go to work. This means that we have to plan everything a lot more, not just when we work, but also what do we do before work, what do we do after work, what do we do in the weekends, mostly resting, to be honest. It also means that we might not be able to do anything except for work, because our spoons have been depleted. This is called pacing. Pacing is an activity management strategy to make sure that a person is as active as possible without suffering huge repercussions from this. This basically means planning how to spend your spoons without ideally ever getting into negative spoons. Because if we do get into negative spoons, that means that we have to borrow spoons from the day after and the day after. And that means that we have less spoons when we wake up the day after. And the day after that, etc., etc. And this can lead to a kind of vicious circle where you keep having less and less spoons to begin with. And this is why we have to plan everything. We have to figure out how much spoons we have, how much spoons every activity costs, and how and when to spend them. But of course, disabilities and chronic illnesses are very unpredictable. So we might not have the same spoons that we had yesterday. So if I can do one thing yesterday and I can't do it today, it doesn't mean that I'm faking it or that I want to not do this thing. It just means that I have less spoons to spend than I had yesterday. And this is completely normal. In a way, being chronically ill or disabled is a lot like being a monk. Nothing to excess and a strict routine. And by the way, these spoons are not static. They can change depending on the weather, how much sleep we had, our current pain levels, etc., etc. So this means that we have to plan everything more, but it also makes planning so much more difficult because our spoons are not static. We only have a limited amount of spoons that we can do each week, and this makes spontaneity so difficult. Because I can't have saved up my spoons for a nice event that I want to go to. If I want to go, for example, to a concert, I have to rest the day before the concert, the day of the concert, and usually about 2 days after. So you can tell that that makes spontaneity really difficult. And sometimes this is worth it, but sometimes it is not. Earlier, I talked about how our spoons can change depending on the day. There are some things that we can do to have some control over this, but it just is unpredictable nonetheless. We've got to plan everything. Not just what we do, but also how we do it. How do we get there? Can we eat when we're there? Can we sit when we're there? Is there a toilet that I can use once I'm there? For some of us, we have to plan our holiday to places that have good available healthcare, or we have to plan rest days after travel days. We also have to consider how long it takes to go somewhere. For example, if something takes 30 minutes to get there, I have to make sure that I leave 40 minutes before I'm out of spoons, because I have to be able to get back home. This means that I almost always have to leave earlier than I'd like to. And it also means that sometimes I don't have the spoons to go somewhere, but I might have the spoons to meet you at home. And this goes for everyone who's disabled or chronically ill. It can be lonely. Not a lot of non-disabled, non-chronically ill people understand what it's like to be fatigued or in pain 100% of the time. This can lead to insensitive remarks or lost friendships. It can also be lonely because we cannot often hang out with you. And if you can't hang out often enough, you are going to lose friendships. Especially when we are young and chronically ill or disabled, we cannot go to school very often. And school is where a lot of socialization happens, that's where you meet your friends. But that's also where your friends make plans to hang out after school. So we don't only miss hanging out with people because we don't have the energy or the pain to go out, but we might also miss hanging out with people because these plans are made when we're not there. This can lead to feeling excluded, which really sucks. I also understand that you feel like we might not want to be friends with you because we can't hang out. That is not the case. We do want to be friends with you. We just are in too much pain or too fatigued to hang out with you. But please keep inviting us. Try not to take this personally and keep inviting us. Because who knows, maybe the 10th invitation we can make too. Another reason why it can be lonely is because we can't often put into words what we are experiencing. Especially AFAB people are often diminished or ridiculed by their doctors or other people, which makes it really hard to branch out and tell people what we're going through. I don't think that this is necessarily personal. I don't think that it's necessarily because we don't trust you. It's just that our experiences have taught us not to reach out and tell other people what we feel. This can also be isolating. COVID was the best and the worst of time. Make no mistake, COVID sucked, absolutely. And it also takes a toll to constantly being told that your life isn't worth it, that you are a burden, that your life isn't worth saving, etc., etc. And make no mistake, because this is exactly what the anti-vaccination, anti-mask, anti-lockdown crowd have been telling us throughout. Friendly reminder that the pandemic actually isn't over yet, and disabled and chronically ill people would like you to continue wearing your mask. Yeah, lockdown sucked, but there are some people who haven't been outside for over 3 years because COVID is that dangerous to them. I understand that a lot of non-disabled, non-chronically ill people also felt really, really anxious at the beginning and throughout the COVID pandemic. But there is a difference between being told that this disease might kill you if you catch it, or this disease will kill you if you catch it. And the latter was often the case in disabled and chronically ill people. COVID was also kind of nice because all of a sudden, all of these things that disabled and chronically ill people had been asking for years and we were told that weren't possible, were possible. For example, we could work from home. This makes such a huge difference in the lives of disabled and chronically ill people. We also didn't really miss any social events anymore because they all happened online. So even if we weren't feeling very good, we could just, attend them from the comfort of our own bed. Another big difference was that healthcare was all of a sudden online. And people all of a sudden understood what it was like to be isolated. I don't think that this knowledge has really stuck around, but it was nice to experience anyway. When I was in high school, I had over 100 hours missed each year. My 1 year of university that was completely done online, I only had 3 missed hours. It takes an extremely long time to get a diagnosis. I've had symptoms literally since I was a baby, but it didn't get really bad until I was 11. I didn't get misdiagnosed until I was 15. 4 years of not knowing what was going on with me. 4 years of being told by health professionals that it was all in my head, that I was making things up. That is a long time. And I didn't get diagnosed with the right disease until I was 24, 9 years later. And mostly because I'd self-diagnosed first and then found the right specialist to diagnose me. Medical racism and sexism do have a part of this, but this is a topic for another day. Some of us might never get a diagnosis. Our disorder might simply be too rare or too difficult, or we might not live anywhere with access to specialists who specialize in this disorder. That doesn't mean that we are faking it. It doesn't mean that we aren't legitimately chronically ill or disabled. We are. Additionally, modern day medicine is extremely good in preventing people from dying, but it's not actually very good in curing them. There are many disorders that used to kill us, for example, diabetes, that are now chronic illnesses. But just because it's manageable, it doesn't mean that we're cured. So I would like us all to abandon the notion that having a diagnosis means having a cure, because it isn't true. Self-diagnoses are important. It's simply a privilege to expect your GP to refer you to the right specialist who will then diagnose you with the right disorder. This is a privilege that is not often allocated to people. Now, I do think I need to explain privilege a little bit here. Privilege does not mean that your life isn't difficult. It doesn't mean that you don't suffer. It just means that your life isn't made more difficult by these things. For example, class or race or gender. Do I blame doctors for this? A little bit, because of the aforementioned medical racism and sexism. But I also do think that they are not being set up for success because of the 10-minute consults. But again, this is a topic for another video. Having an official diagnosis is important though, because it gives you access to treatment, even if it doesn't mean access to a cure. However, a confident self-diagnosis can help you access the right specialist. It can also help you apply the principles already to help you manage your disability or chronic illness. Unfortunately, without the right treatment or with the wrong treatment, your symptoms might get worse. Accommodations don't make our lives easier. They just make them as easy as the life of non-disabled, non-chronically ill people. If life was a race, non-disabled, non-chronically ill people would start here. The race is going that way, by the way. The disabled and chronically ill people would start here. As you can see, that's quite a big difference. Accommodations make it so that disabled and chronically ill people start here. It's still not an even playing field, but at least it's a little bit fairer. I was a bit hesitant to put out this video at first, because I thought that it might make our lives seem tragic or really difficult. And that's not the impression I want to make, because I also don't believe it's true. Being disabled is part of life, and as such, it has its difficulties. But I am glad to be alive, and I'm sure that goes for the vast majority of disabled or chronically ill people as well. And the last point I would like you to take away is this. Disabled and chronically ill people are the strongest people out there, both physically and mentally. This was it for this week. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, check out my video about 8 things I wish you knew about people who use wheelchairs down below. Also, like and subscribe because it really helps the new channel out. Let me know in the comments what you think because I'm always curious. See you next week. Bye!